everybody, it's Sean. Today we are doing a little chassis swap on my RC drift car. We're going to take the original chassis from my Rhino Racing Shark and upgrade it with a new chassis that's a little bit thinner, a little bit lighter, and a little bit more flexible, made by Scale Reflex. Alright, let's wrangle up all the tools I'm going to need. Get this out of the way. Alright, so here's a car. Here's the new chassis. As you can see, it is a lot thinner than the original. There's the original. Here's a new one. Let's see if I can do a little back-to-back. So we're going to be shaving a bunch, almost an inch off each side. And we got a new top deck also. You can tune with the top deck with this. So this is a standard that comes with it. This is a 2mm. I know that if I would like to, I can play with these thicknesses that they sell to get some more flex out of it if we want. And then here's the last piece of it, which is a front bumper, which looks really cool. So we're going to install all that today. Let me grab my tools. I'll be right back. Alright, pull out my trusty toolbox. Should have most of what I need. Oh, scissors always fall. But yes, this should have most of what I need to get the job done. It's going to be a little bit of a long process. Let's see where we start with this. I think I'll start with the front bumper. Because we know we're getting rid of this original one. I'll need the post off of it though to remount my body. You know, I might be smarter about this. I'm going to grab my drill. I'll be back. Alright, I'm back. I got my drill. This is one of the best tools you could have, especially for building kits. If you're ever building a kit, any type of kit, get yourself something like this. Alright, let's get this last one off. And I got MIP bits too. Go with the wrenches. I just trust them more than other brands. Had better luck with them. These are never stripped. Okay, bumper off. Throw that over there. Keep those screws here. Ooh, that looks funny. How weird. So let's get the battery out of here. Okay, battery out. Alright, I'm just going to go on to this little plug here and mark the side that the white wire goes into. I'll just give it a little silver Sharpie on that side, like that. That way I remember what side to plug back into the gyro, and I don't have any issues because that's never fun. So, now that that's done, I think we could separate this front half a little bit by taking this out of there, this out of here. Okay, so that front deck is detached. Gyro is detached now, which means I could just separate this front bulkhead in one piece if I can, and actually install it straight onto this new chassis. So here's the new chassis. Let's get this open. The Hydra. First things first, I can just leave that on the chassis. Then I'll take this out. And this one right here out. Okay. So this is the new, way that little front bulkhead all kind of attaches itself. And these are actually for the battery mounts. These little spacers for the battery mounts. Make sure we save those. Keep that there. I will need these screws out of here now that I see that. Pull one. Okay. Got both of those. How does this go here? I believe this is going to go right there. Do this here. Now, I always like to start it with my drill, but I'll always come back through and finish it by hand. Let's see where you at. There you go. Just to make sure you don't strip anything out or crack the carbon. You don't want to do that. That's a no-no. Okay, so that's on there, like so. big portion is going to come off right now together. We're going to take these 4 out, these 2 and those 2. And we're going to pinch it all together and bring it all at once. That way we don't lose all the pins and all the spacers that we have in here. So, let's see. Alright, so I'm going to pinch on each side like so, front and back. And I'll come through and just start pulling. These are a little different, so we'll keep those off to the side. There we go. Okay. Whoa. Starting to slide, I feel it. There we go. Alright, chassis starting to separate. Here's that front bulkhead section. Like I said, it's keeping it pinched together right there. And we're going to install this onto the new chassis. So I've got one of those smaller ones already started. That's going to go into the metal of the Shark chassis. We'll get that right up in there. Get that started. Knock them up a little bit. We'll come back there and make sure stuff is a better place to. I'm going to pull that out of there. There we go. Okay, so as you can see up here, still pinching because this will fall apart on you. There we go. There's a side onto the chassis there. This chassis looks so cool. Very cool shape. There we go. Yeah, this thing rips. Okay, I think that was actually going to be the most painful part of the whole process, just because of all those pins and stuff. I guess the rear is going to be the same. We're going to have some issues with that, trying to keep it all pinched together. Okay, let's see. Let's see how it. Yep. No play at all. Feels good. Look how much thinner that profile is. How cool. Alright. So, now we can start moving to the next part, which is actually just the rear. I'm going to have to dismount some electronics to get it over. I think I'll take this front half of the deck off, but leave the back half on for now, just while I do all that, just so I don't have to move too much. Okay, let's start disassembling this rear half of the chassis. Oh, man, that weighs nothing with that, just that front end. That's cool. Alright, so I got this cool little wheel nut wrench from Team Associated a long time ago when I used to race some off-road stuff, and I think that's the perfect size for this. I'll try to get it up in there and see how that works. Yes, okay. So I'm just taking this off so I can leave the ESC on for now. And I don't have to unplug too much more. Actual receiver off there. Tweezers always work well for that. Well, I don't have to worry about marking it up too much either. Let's see if I can get that in there. Peel. Alright, that's free. I'll have to do the gyro next. It's funny, that gyro's got like rose gold around the edges of it. It's different. Just make sure you don't hit any wires or stab anything. Don't stab yourself either, that always sucks. That's always a bad time. Alright, so now that that's halfway there, as you can kind of see, I'm just going to twist it. Give it a little mechanical force. And a little pop. Okay, so that's all hanging right there. Let me get this other nut off with this little guy. And then I will remove the back half and then fiddle with all the stuff after that. Alright, there's the top. Pull that off. Now the only problem is you're going to have a deck, just a chassis laying around, so you got to figure out what to do with it. See if we can get creative someday, we'll see. Alright, so I got all that. I'm just going to let this, I'll just feed that through there and let it kind of hang. And then I think the next step is, let's see, just the rear, and then I'll do the battery stuff later. So I'm going to pinch this front and back again. I'm going to attempt to. It's a little bit harder. And I'll just start pulling stuff off, like so. Alright, we are losing it, but we're good still. Alright, let me get this other half off. Good. Alright, I know it's a little bit messy, but old deck. Let's take this new one here, flip her upside down. Oh, I lost a pin. It's okay, nothing on that one to fall off, which is good. Alright, so I think the best plan of attack is, let's see, we will do the plastic in first, because that is the trickiest part to figure out. Okay, one last one. These ones are a little longer than the 4 that go in the center. Just make sure you keep an eye on that. Alright, this thing's starting to take shape. Starting to look good. Alright, so I had some mismatched screws in there that I just realized from the beginning when I built it. So I'm going to take some out of this deck that I will not be using right now, that are properly sized to fit and not bind with anything, and I will be installing those into this bottom transmission here, which is a pretty good idea for most things. Just double check it, go through it, especially if you got extra parts coming off something that you don't plan on using for a little bit, or you know that you can kind of put on the back burner and find those parts for later. Just go through and make sure things are right. You'll probably thank yourself later. Especially when I'm working on this metal too, I don't really like to do too much with the drill. I like starting it with the drill if I can, if it's like a safe threaded one, but if it feels a little sketch, I will not do that. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So it is on, but I still got work to do. We're not there yet. Let's spin this thing around and start looking at it. It looks awesome though. Such a cool, cool shape. Alright, so now on the front we can reinstall those 2 screws back on the steering, the front bulkhead. It was just these 2 little guys here, if you can see, pretty tiny. Make sure we thread those through, hit the spot, there we go. That's in. Got our second one here. Okay. Now this is a lot of, as you can see maybe, let's see if I can, you see the flex in that? So these chassis are much more flexible than, I have screws taken out of this one, I can still barely twist this one. Okay. That's looking great. Looking really good. Now we gotta start planning our electronics out. Probably before I put the deck on. Well, I gotta take that off still, so let's do that. Get this ESC removed. Where did my tweezers go? There they are. Tweezers again. That's a tight one. I'm just going to try to twist on this one. Yeah. Do just a little twist and hopefully it'll loosen. There it goes. Just be gentle when you guys are working on stuff too. Just go slow. No reason to get crazy with it. Alright, there's that. Now I have this cool little plate on here that my buddy made. You guys need one. Let me know in the comments, I could probably facilitate it. This is just a, for the Shark, purpose-built little ESC plate. Got it all dialed onto here. Actually, why am I slaving away with that? Let's grab my drill. Oh yeah, that was a deep one. Okay, yeah, so what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna start looking at the top plate, figure out the best place to put that. You can see that just kind of goes on there. So, here is the top deck. I think I'm going to make 2 videos out of this one. I'm going to make a short one and a long. That way we can kind of, anybody wants to see the whole process and needs help figuring it out, you could hopefully get some help from this. Alright, so here we go. This is the new deck, the top deck. Let's slide right in there. It's just one size. That's what's different about this chassis versus the stock chassis, is that this chassis is a fixed length, but the Shark OG chassis is actually adjustable. As you can probably tell with all there's a ton of adjustment. This is really cool. Shark's like original chassis was actually one that was kind of built and meant to be set up with full interiors, a lot of like kind of scale looking parts. So they like giving people options of being kind of different and just making things unique the way they like them, especially with different body sizes and lengths and all that. So, alright, so now we gotta figure out, I think I'll just reuse that plate. It's gonna work perfect off of here, and we'll just get this one started. That's pretty sweet. Okay. Alright, we'll just get that started, and then I'll get the other 2. Mount your ESC right on it. Alright, so that's the chassis built with the new deck in it. The new skinnier, lighter deck. Very interesting. Alright, so I'm gonna have to do some electronic stuff. I'll break out the tape for that, and we'll start figuring that out. Peel some of this. I mean, yeah, we're pretty close. I gotta get the battery mounts off the old chassis, and we'll get that next, probably, once I get some of this stuff mounted and out of my way. Alright, trusty roll of tape. If you watched my last video, you saw this. Can't go wrong. Just spend the money so you don't run out, and you always got it. Plus, it's huge and it's red. You'll never lose it. You don't have to go crazy with stuff, but just make sure you use good stuff at least. That way you don't have to go crazy. That's where tweezers come in super handy. That. Alright, let's see. Let's get this mounted right back up where I like it. Far back as you can. Square it up with everything. A purple sandwich. Look at that. Alright. Okay. That looks good there. Looks great there. This thing feels... Oh, I don't have the battery, that's why. So a little excited there. Alright, so gyro will come next maybe, because we're going to start the battery next, because I don't know how I want to run my electronics. I got to think about it a little bit more before I make a decision. Now when you're setting up for like a track, like your competition setting, you really want all your weight in the back. It's kind of how everybody's doing it. Not a lot of people are going to the weight transfer or the high battery mount just because it looks good, but it doesn't really work as well for competition from what people are saying. Alright, so this is going to be a little bit hard to show you. Well, maybe not. And these grooves right here, that's where the back of the battery mount's going to go. Just got to slot it in and figure out where it is. Okay. Next, I will do these battery wings. Now this is where those extenders that I talked about way earlier are going to come in. Okay, now I got that all set up. Let's flip it back over. See what we're working with. Alright, so I'll probably center mount most of this stuff now, since I can. center. Right there in the center. Perfect. So, down the center. Chassis really, if the weight, I don't know if it's lighter, but definitely all the weight's more towards the center, which feels a lot different. What I'm doing right now is I'm going to be putting the extenders on these little wings that go to the battery. As you can see, it's coming through on that side now. It's wonderful. There it is. Back here. You can install these onto the screws we just put to the back side, like so. Now we're going to take the wing, battery, it's on there nice and tight. That should, in theory, be about what we want right there. Throw the battery through, see how that works. Okay. Let's see, there we go. Now if you go too far back with the battery, you can't slide it out past the wheel. So you gotta make sure you go loose behind where it clearances the wheel. That would be my suggestion. I'm gonna pinch that, I'll retighten this up. Like so. Okay. Try to get it to match a little bit to this one. Double check it. Throw this battery in, see how much room we got. See how it sits. Now I was warned that I might need to add one more spacer onto this, so I'm going to do like a 1mm spacer. This battery's a little bit wider than what it just kind of set up for, but that's no big deal. It's simple. But if you don't have spacers, grab one. I got a nice little bin of them from way back when. So we'll add one more thin one. That should be pretty close. So let's see. Okay, let's adjust this a little bit again. Okay, looks all good to me. Nice, all right, well, I think the last thing we need to do, if I'm not mistaken, is the front bumper. So, let's grab that and figure out how that goes together. Alright. So earlier we pulled out 3 screws that went into the front bumper. They went up into these, which I don't believe we have anymore. So, this is going to be the bottom part. We got our second deck here. We gotta figure it out. Okay, so these, if I'm not mistaken, are going to go in between the deck and this plate, and then also from the bottom it's going to come up and you're going to screw into the bottom of this, and from the top and the bottom. So it's going to be a cool little clamping design. Let's get into it. I'm going to grab some Loctite for this though, for sure. Alright, I got some Loctite, and we are going to get started on this. Okay, we figured it out, but I have to steal some more screws from this bottom deck. I need some shorter ones to make sure that I don't kind of overlap and thread into the other ones. There we go. let's figure out how to start this. This is going to go like this. And we are going to take one of these guys, go through the center hole, up through the deck, kind of where this is where the Loctite's going to come in handy. Add a little bit to that one, and then we're going to spin one of these on top of it. Again. Alright, I'm going to clean those up because there's a little Loctite squeezed out of them. The bottom. Not going to hurt anything, but might as well clean it up. Okay, now we can do the second portion of the top deck, but first we need to install these bars on it. It's a little bit interesting though, so we're going to have to take off my top cap. My top magnet, or just, you know, this isn't the magnet, this is a little piece of steel for the magnet to attach to, so I'm going to take that off, I believe. Looks like this has to be done. Pull that off. We're going to push it through the top portion. Actually, wrong direction. We're going to flip it this way. Push this through. I don't know if it has to go. Oh yeah, it'll go all the way down. It'll attach through there. While I'm here, I got to do the other one as well at the same time. Let's be efficient. Okay. Take the magnet off of this as well, or the metal. That through this side. Now these are going to set right on top of here, but they're also going to screw from the bottom up into these and reattach. Use the drill for this. Okay, it's there. I guess you could have done that, slid that over these after you put them on, but this works. Get that nice and snug. Okay. Now this just kind of sits right there. Now we are going to take our other screws, those other three that we got ready. Install those, a little bit of thread lock on them. Like so. Long on this side. Just keep repeating the cycle. That was actually last time, which is good. Okay, there's the too long. Take the short. And we're almost there. I'll do some body setup and just stuff like that with the magnets on the side afterwards. It's pretty, you know, just raise it up and down. But I think we have completed our whole chassis swap to a new deck. Whole new carbon deck, Scale Reflex Hydra deck. Nice and great looking car. Alright, cool. So yeah, this will be a whole building video, but I'm going to do a whole video also on my thoughts and reviews on it. And we can go over those and we'll see what I think about it after driving it for a little bit. There's definitely a ton of flex in it, which is pretty cool. Go through, tighten some stuff up, make sure it's all dialed, and we'll see you on the track. Alright, we're out at Super G with the new Hydra deck. Do some testing, see how it feels. Got some batteries charging right now. Over here. Got some friends with us at the track. My girlfriend's here. We're all hanging out, having a good time. Also want to mention I'm changing my gearing up a little bit. I'm running 88-18 right now. see how that feels. Hopefully get a little bit more speed out of it. I was feeling a little bit slow, so we're gonna test that out and see how it goes. It's actually just a ZV E10 Sony. So it's like a $500 body. I've just been building it out so it kind of runs a little better for me.